The fourth group in this cast of characters, the Patriots. These guys mostly support the founding documents. You got to arm yourself with a copy of the Constitution. Many people incorrectly refer to the Bill of Rights as the Constitution. For example, well, the Constitution says I got a right to bear arms. The Constitution says I have a right to work. You know, it's just like, I have a right to work. Well, the right to liberty, which is implied in the Bill of Rights. Pursuit of happiness. Included in these things is supposed to be the right to work, the right to travel, but it's all about interpretation, and it's really the Supreme Court Justice's job to interpret the Constitution, not the job of the people. That's why we have a judiciary branch. So anyway, we have all these things written by people over 200 years ago, 300 years ago, and that stuff is supposed to apply now. But again, these were very smart men, these founding fathers, and they knew that by placing limitations on the government, then throughout the years, as things it could be interpreted to apply to a future society, and that's the Supreme Court's job. And are you going to progress? Are you going to evolve? Or are you going to conserve what we have already? You gotta look up. I was really into this patriot stuff until I started looking at it from Britain's perspective. Founding fathers might have been a bunch of terrorists, if you think about it. From Britain's perspective, you get these guys who are like, well, we know that the Virginia Company, who's charted with England, or charted with the Crown, we know that you guys really own the land, but you know what, we're not really going to pay you anymore, and we're also not paying taxes to the king. We get no representation in England, and blah, blah, blah. It's a lot like the Occupy Wall Street thing now, combined with the sovereignty thing. And, as you can imagine, England was just like, what the F are you talking about? Anyway, the conspiracy goes that we lost the Revolutionary War, and we just made it look like we won, because there's still like a financial agreement. Because, even though we got independence from the Crown, there's still the problem of the Virginia Company. Ooh, we're gonna have to talk about that later. But anyway, patriots are pretty cool because they love their country, and depending on who you talk to, you'll get some people who think the patriotic thing to do is to go back to constitutional government, go back to the founding documents, get rid of all this mess that we created over the years. And then some patriots are like, hey, this is the way things are. You should wake up to reality. Besides, do you really want to go back to slavery? Even though that's a straw man argument. They say, oh, well, don't you want to keep Alaska and Hawaii as a state? And like, that's we're going to explore more about the divide they try to put in between these two ways of thinking. But, you get a lot of good patriots, you get, some police, some guys in the military, you get some firefighters, there's a lot of people who go out of their way to serve the country. But then you get a lot of cool historians and teachers who also understand the whole de jure thing going on. But where does England fit into it? They did a recent study. It was some kind of lawyers from England and the United States revisit the topic, and they were just like, well, hypothetically, does the Declaration hold up as a valid legal document? And what they found was no. You know, the founding fathers really were terrorists, and the United States was unlawful to begin with, and we always have been, and should still be ruled by the crown. Now the conspiracy goes into saying that that is the case, and the de facto is a corporation that is ruled out of the crown. We're going to get into that stuff later, but this is what happens when you have these people searching for freedom run into the Patriots, running into the scam artists, running into the people trying to seek relief from prison, running into some of the religious extremists. You know, this is the kind of thing that happens when members of these groups get information from other people. I mean, because like the Patriots, you're feeling patriotic, you end up liking the idea of the America that you learned once in school. Before you know it, you're starting to get information, sometimes bad information and wishful thinking from some of these other groups. And some information from these other groups can lead you astray and turn you into a whole big mess. We're going to talk more about that later. But anyway, the problem that I found is a lot of these people are overly idealistic and tend to paint a picture of an America that never really existed. You know, they say we got to return back to America before 1913, and then some people say, oh man, we got to go back to 1871, and then you get some people that are saying, oh man, we got to return back to 1781, and no, we got to do it before we created the federal government and go just back to the state, you know, whatever. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy stuff to go on, but so if we return back to 1781, what do we do about Alaska? What do we do about the Louisiana Purchase? You know, one theory that you're going to run into that I recommend searching is the idea that the Louisiana Purchase was unlawful. What happened was we did the Louisiana Purchase from the French, but it didn't really belong to the French, did it? I mean, they killed the natives, they stole it, and sold it to us. I mean, when you buy something that's stolen, well then again, this whole country was stolen, so, I mean, do you really want to return back to a land that was built on theft and terrorism? You know, maybe it's better off to go into the future and continue. One thing for sure, though, I mean, we gotta, if we have any ties with, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. All I'm trying to do right now is introduce the characters. So, do you have a good idea about who these Patriots are? What it means to be a patriot? And can you imagine how somebody defending their country, it's really all about the quality of the information they have. Are they getting it from the scam artists? Are they getting it from the religious extremists? Are they watching a little too much Alex Jones? Are they staying within the system too much and trying to hold on to false hopes or false ideas of a past that wasn't really there? We will explore this later. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk about the religious extremists.